Okay, this is a comparing problem like we did in some videos past. Now this problem here says you're given two quantities, quantity A and then quantity B. So the quantity here you have is x to the power 2k divided by x to the power 4, and then the quantity you have in column B is x to the power k all over 2. Now the problem we have here is different from the ones we have done so far. Why is it different? It's different because you have two variables here. You have x, and then you also have k. So when you vary x and k, you want to use the variation of x and k to determine the weight of the quantities you have in column A and column B. So how then do you go about problems like this? Anyway, there's a very easy way to go about it. Now anytime you have to vary two quantities, what you do is you keep one constant, you make one constant, and then you vary the other. Vary the other. So keep one of them constant and then vary the other. So what I'm going to do is, since I have x and k, so I'm going to choose my k to be 0, and then I'm going to vary x. So let's say my k is 0. Now when my k is 0, so this is the first step I've taken, I'm going to make one of them constant. So when k is 0, here you have x to the power 0. This is going to be 1. You have 1 divided by x to the power 4. And then what you have in column B is, this is k. When k is 0, is 0 all over 2. So this is going to be x to the power 0. This is going to be x to the power 0 all over 2, which is x to the power 0, which is also 1. So what you have here is 1. So now this is the first step I took. I made one constant. Now the next thing is I'm going to vary x. So that's the next step. So to vary x, so I'm going to test these two quantities. I'll test it for when x equals 2, and then I'm going to test it for when x equals 3, and then see if I can determine a relationship between the two quantities. Now when x is 2, what you would have here is going to be 1 divided by 2 to the power 4, and then this is just going to give you 1 divided by 2 to the power 4 is 1 all over 16. And then what you have here is 1, right? And then also when, okay, let me choose when x is say 1. Yep, when x is 1. So now when x is 1, so what you're going to have here is going to be 1 divided by, so it's going to be 1 to the power 4, which is just 1. So this is going to give you 1, and then what you have here would always be 1 because it's not affected by whatever variation you put here. So now the lesson we're going to learn here is when x is 2, the quantity we have here is less than the quantity we have here. But then when x is 1, the quantity we have here is equal to the quantity we have here. So that simply tells us that the information we are given here is not enough to uniquely determine which of the quantities you have here is greater or which is equal, or to uniquely determine the relationship between the two quantities. So that tells us that none is greater, none is equal, none is anything. So since the information here is not enough, we would say that the solution to this is D. So you recall, if your answer is going to be A, that means A is greater than B. If your answer is B, that implies that B is greater than A. If your answer is C, that implies they are equal. But when you choose D as your solution, that implies that the information you have, or that the problem gave or given in the problem, is not enough to uniquely identify a relationship between the two quantities, both in column A and column B respectively. Thanks for watching.